As we track rain in the Triad, there's a chance of flooding, and you never know when or if it may affect you. So today we are joined by Christopher Cook, the president of Alliance Insurance Services, to talk about what you should do in different flooding scenarios. So to start, let's talk about what happens if your basement gets flooded.
Sure. Hi, Sydney. How are you? Well, we certainly hope that doesn't happen, but flood damage is typically not covered by a homeowner's insurance policy unless you have a flood policy in force. And so we're probably too late for that for all of our viewers today. So our next best recourse is to try our best to prevent further damage, do what we can to prevent water from coming in, and act as quickly as we can to clean up damage so that it doesn't get worse in your homes.
Yeah. And how should we document flood damage for insurance purposes?
Yeah, it doesn't matter the insurance claim, whether it's flood or other things. We want to take photographs so that we've got proper documentation. Try to do everything we can to stop further damage when it's safe to do so. And then, as quickly as possible, we want to report that to our insurance carrier so that they're aware that they've had a claim, and we can get an adjuster assigned to your claim to view the damage and to document the cost of the repairs.
And during storms, we also sometimes see trees fall on houses. What happens then?
Yeah, popular question, obviously, when the wind blows and the ground gets wet. Homeowners insurance covers that claim very specifically. And so, same advice. We want to photograph or video the damage. We want to prevent further damage if we can by using a tarp or different things, depending on the situation. And we want to quickly report the claim to our insurance carrier. The homeowner's insurance carrier is going to pay for the damage caused to your home by the tree. An important distinction, we get this question asked as a follow-up a lot, is doesn't matter if that tree is yours or your neighbor's or whomever's, your home was damaged. We're going to file a claim on your homeowner's policy so that your homeowner's provider can help pay for the damages that have been occurred.
And kind of talk about what all the insurance covers.
Sure. So the homeowner's policy, the first responsibility to it is the building itself. I like to call them the actual box. And so any damage to your home is what it's going to pay to repair, minus your deductible. Most of your viewers probably have $1,000 deductible or possibly even a $2,500 deductible. But whether that's to damage to the shingles of your roof or the siding as it hit your house, or maybe it busted a window out, heaven forbid, it's going to pay for those repairs. If your home is uninhabitable, your homeowner's policy does have what's called loss of use coverage. So to rent you an apartment or help you find other temporary lodging, if that's a hotel for a few nights or depending on the severity of the damage. And then you have contents coverage if the damage somehow got in and damaged items in your home as well. Speaking specifically about a tree falling, then you would have coverage for the contents of your home up to what I call policy limits.
Moving to cars, what if you were driving through flood waters and something happens to your car? Does insurance pay in regards to that?
Yeah, so the part of the automobile policy that covers damage from any type of weather, specifically flood, is called comprehensive insurance, or some people call it other than collision, but most lay people call it full coverage. If you have full coverage on your car, then and you have damage from flood waters, then that would be paid as part of the comprehensive part of your policy. Some folks don't have full coverage; they carry liability only because that's what's required by state law. So on a vehicle that you had the most basic coverage on, you wouldn't have coverage for damage from a flood or anything else really. But if you have comprehensive coverage on your policy, that is what's going to pay for the damage to your flooded vehicle.
Gotcha. And then what happens if you rent a car? Who pays for the damage then?
I'm sorry, Sydney, if you are renting a car and it is damaged,
Right, that's
the
correct.
yeah, your auto insurance policy would pay for that again if you had comprehensive coverage on that automobile policy. So depends on what contracts you purchased when you rented the car, but your auto policy should pay those damages.
Perfect. And we got about 45 seconds here for the future. Are there any upgrades or improvements people can make to lower their flood risk?
Most of that is done by the federal government, other local municipalities. You can make sure you have door sweeps. You can make sure the water's running away from your home. You can make sure your gutters aren't clogged and your downspouts aren't clogged, certainly to prevent potential damage that could come from these heavy rains that we're having. Most stream control and river control and other watershed control is done by a government entity in our country. But homeowners can just make sure the maintenance around their property has been done properly.
Got it. Well, Christopher, thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, for you guys at home, if you missed our conversation, you can find the entire thing on our website, WFMYnews2.com. But we want to continue our conversation here in the studio in the Weather Garden about this rain coming in and where it is on the radar, Tim.